So here we are at Gay Pride in Lake Worth. We just finished up having a gigantic storm, so people are fleeing. I, of course, left my umbrella in the car, but we're just going to walk around and see if we can chat with some folks and sort of see what their take is on Gay Pride and what is happening in our government right now. So, good to go. Just to follow up with you, the Tesla event is next Saturday, April 5th. It's also the Hands Off March across the country, also known as 5051. We're asking that everybody slightly change your messaging. Look at our content. You'll see some ideas for hands off. Whatever you want hands off, send your message out. Hands off my Social Security, hands off my reproductive rights, hands off my health insurance. We'll give you a whole bunch of ideas. So you're here at Gay Pride because of what?
Palm Beach County now always has a table at Pride. It's one of our missions. You know, we want to be inclusive and help out other communities. But we also have a presentation and a speaker that day, April 5th. So 11:30 till 12:30, Dr. Jane Caputi will be speaking on why women all this language is being erased from the vocabulary everywhere.
Our group is very female-centric. Our average age is probably 70 to 88, 89 years old. Part of our mission through all this is to recapture this lost generation. The people that don't know anything except Trumpism and don't know anything and has become disengaged and disenfranchised because we kind of blew it last year, and I think that's our fault. What's your message as elder, for lack of a better word, to the younger generation? How do we re-engage with them?
That's a great question. I have a couple of very young nieces and a young nephew, and I try to keep them engaged. And they do. Their parents really help them out. They stay current with what's happening and what's right and what's wrong with people trying to take over their bodies. I'm pleased to be in support of people who can get that message out.
We talked to people here. I spoke to Alan the other day too about gay rights and same-sex marriage and how easily it can be removed. Can you talk a little bit about Roe v. Wade and how fast that went?
I'm going to put my head down and cry because that is so horrific, but they just keep building on that and erasing people from the lexicon. There's no women. You can't put women, you can't put queer, you can't put gay, anything in the message, and all the websites are being pulled.
Something that was the law of the land for 50 years was shot down in hours. So how long will it take for them to revoke same-sex marriage, gay rights?
And there's only 2 of them on the Supreme Court that are wishing for that. I hope to hell it takes a long time. I hope they can't do it.
Hey everybody, it's Philip again. I'm here with David at Gay Pride in Lake Worth Beach. We wanted to just toss a couple of questions to you. What's Gay Pride in your world?
Yeah, to me, it's 2 things. It's not only joy, but it's also resistance. I think organizing, listen, we wouldn't have Gay Pride, we wouldn't have a celebration of our community without fighting, right? And we wouldn't have any rights without fighting. That's how we secure our joy, through resistance, through struggle. And it's been the same throughout history and for every single movement and group of people. So I'm proud to say I'm not only happy to be here, joyous in Pride, but I'm also happy to be organizing and fighting as well.
Well said.
Thank you.
I have great fear for our rights as a gay community. I'm a married gay man. I fear that they're going to take away my marriage. I fear that one day they'll show up at my doorstep, say, are you gay? come with us, we're going to put you in a camp. Does your generation have that fear?
I think people who are conscious of what's happened in the past do, but I don't feel like enough of us are conscious. And I think that's an issue for every generation. So it's a lot of organizing to wake people up, I would say.
We had talked a little bit earlier about the disconnect between, I'll claim, my generation and yours, and the inconsistent messaging that seems to be going out, certainly across the state of Florida, and on some level nationally. What do we need to do with our messaging to make it resonate?
I think it's less a question of messaging. I think it's more a question of getting into the community, organizing and having real organizing conversations with people, one-on-ones, big conversations at rallies, different things like that, and really connecting the generation. And I do, appreciate folks in your generation because y'all fought for what we have now and what they're trying to take away. Y'all have experience, you have the knowledge, and I beg your generation to have a little patience and really try to reach out to my generation, teach us what y'all have learned, what y'all have fought for, the skills, the knowledge, the history.
Where do we reach out? Where does your generation engage? Is it through social media still?
It's a lot of social media. Ever since the pandemic too, I feel like a lot of folks in my generation just don't even go out that much. It's a very strange thing. Social media for sure, but I think a lot of like the old school tactics of like putting up posters in their community, even like more creative like street art things can really get the message out, not just to my generation but to the community as a whole.
Are you active on things like TikTok or Facebook or Blue Sky? Are those places that you go?
So I typically don't. I personally try to stay away from social media on a personal level. I do have some private accounts that I use for organizing. Just the way the world is going, I want to keep as much of my private information private and away from the hands of the government and whoever bad actors,
Right. David, thanks so much.
Thanks, Bill.
Great chatting with you. Hey everybody, I'm here with Wyatt at Gay Pride under a safe tent where we're not getting drenched. Thank you for agreeing to talk to us today. Tell us first what brings you to Gay Pride?
So I like to refer to as Pride because it's a whole spectrum. Everyone's on different things. They might not identify as gay. They can be an ally and come out here. It's just about the togetherness of people coming, all ages and all that.
One of, I think, the disconnect is that your generation is mad at our generation because we really fucked up last year. Do you think that we missed the point in our messaging and our election and the whole process? Did you feel disenfranchised?
I just feel like maybe communication amongst both generations could be elaborated on and had. And maybe that would close some of the disconnect, but there's disconnect in all within the group ourselves of younger people and older people.
Where do we best reach?
I feel like social media, definitely communicating on that.
Blue Sky,
TikTok, I would prefer that, especially the young kids are on TikTok and like 18 to 20-year-olds are on there. Facebook's still a great platform to use. But, yeah.
Do you think that your generation would want to be engaged with peaceful protests and sort of standing up for what's left of our rights before they're taken away?
Yeah, I feel like any demographic would want to voice their opinion in a peaceful manner, whether it's on social media, in person, at an event like this. So
we've been at the Tesla Takedown now for a month. We were there yesterday. We'll be there again next Saturday from 11 to 1. That's part of the hands-off movement. So, if you can spread that word out to your folks, we'd love to have you be there. I agree. I hope we can find that bridge to connection. Do you and without speaking for everybody in your age group, do you think that we are in a constitutional crisis right now?
I feel like every government, country goes through growing pains, and as new generations are old enough to vote, their opinions change. And it's a very cyclical movement, whether you get older and you want to become more conservative to saving money, you're worried about your retirement, versus being young and wanting to spend your money and help others. I think that's a constant cycle that you see happening over in Europe, in Germany, the UK, them coming out of the EU, like those kinds of things.
So I'm a very open, married gay man. I live with great fear that my same-sex marriage will be taken away, much like Roe v. Wade was taken away, and that we're headed to the place where they're going to come knocking on my door saying, "Oh, you're gay? Come on." Does that fear resonate too?
I feel like that fear is a very a very extreme thing. That is a possibility, but that fear is going to keep people at home and quiet, and they need to still speak out. And I'd rather be excluded for who I include than included for who I exclude.
I think that's a really hopeful message.
Yeah.
You're live anytime.
Say your first name is?
Jessica.
Jessica. Hi everybody, I'm here with Jessica right now at Gay Pride. What brings you out to Pride today?
We're an abortion fund, so we have a booth here. This is our second day, and I'm with emergency medical assistance.
Roe v. Wade.
Roe v. Wade.
Tell me.
Well, the Dobbs decision overturned Roe v. Wade. That happened in the summer of 2022. After that happened, Florida initiated a 15-week abortion ban with a 24-hour waiting period. In 2023, DeSantis signed a 6-week abortion ban that went into effect last year. We had an amendment this past November that did not pass. We have a 60% threshold in Florida. It only got to 57%, which is still showing that the majority of Floridians support abortion rights. So we are still under a 6-week abortion ban with a 24-hour waiting period.
That's great. We did an interview last week with Josh Gill up in District 6, who is poised to flip his seat on Tuesday, who amplifies your message so well in northern Florida. I want to see if I can sort of combine your message and the message here at Pride. I'm an openly married gay man. Everybody here knows that. I have great fear that my rights as same-sex marriage can be taken from me. And if they got rid of Roe v. Wade in a week, they could get rid of same-sex marriage in an hour. Is that something that people should be concerned about?
Absolutely. Our rights are tied to one another. So the freedom that you have is the freedom that I have. It's the freedom that Black Lives Matter supporters have. We're all connected. And anytime they chip away at any of our rights, this is all an arbitrary decision to limit access for everybody. So we can all see that we're all connected, and our freedom, prosperity, ability to grow and be safe is tied to each other. That can help break down some of this and have a more unified front in addressing these issues.
How does our generation engage yours? I think there's a disconnect. Maybe I've heard from a lot of people that we're really the ones to blame because we fucked up the messaging last year and we kind of fucked up the election and we need to fix it. But as somebody who is obviously an activist and is out here openly speaking about this, how do we re-engage with you?
I think a lot of how we got here with abortion or any of these issues is because concessions were made a long time ago. We're constantly appealing to the right, who are insatiable and are never going to come in our direction. So the more we give up and the more we concede along the way helped us get in the position that we're in currently. So I think standing firm in our message and stop trying to appeal to people who want us dead and don't care otherwise. Appeal to who your true base is.
We will be at the Tesla dealer in Delray on Federal Highway next Saturday. We've asked our members and those who are coming to the event to slightly change the messaging away from Elon Musk and more to the hands-off 50-51 messaging. One of them obviously being hands off my reproductive rights, hands off my freedom. to choose hands off, whatever it is. You seem like somebody that has a really innate sense of hope. But what's the message that we could best amplify with these protests next week that supports your issue?
I mean, we have to be hopeful, because what are we supposed to do otherwise? And despite what it looks like currently, like, this is not where we land. This is just what's happening now. This is not the end of any of our stories. And if anything, it lays bare all of the injustice that was already there and what has been piecemealed together to make us think we had more than what we really have. And I think if we can see this in an honest way and move forward, that strengthens our movement in the future, and again, coalition building.
I just wanted to add one last thing. One of the things that I found here today, which I haven't heard, is a sense of hope. And I find that incredibly, introspectively smart and engaging, and something that I had not thought of as something that, how do you message hope to people? But your generation has been telling me now for 2 days, you can be angry about everything.
I'm curious.
But how do you retain a sense of hope?
I have to. Because the other desire is to, like, quash us and make us feel like we have no way out of this, and that's not true. Quite frankly, I believe there's more of us than them. They have just outmaneuvered, and again, this has been erosion of everyone's rights for decades that led to this point. And if anything, again, it focuses on how flimsy all of this was, and I think that this gives an opportunity to do, like, better coalition building for the future that can be proactive instead of constantly reactive to, like, removing things along the way, that we can hopefully fend this off better down the line.
Do you think that, let me see how to phrase this politely, do you think that we can re-engage the 90 million who didn't vote last year?
Yeah, by, I think, having an honest message. We're a 501c3, so we're nonpartisan, but I will say that the Democrats have done a horrible job speaking truth to what is happening and recognizing the fact that something is wrong. Many things are wrong. Instead of denying that something is wrong, and it's an underlying feeling that we all have and have a sense of. And I think that the Republicans have done a good job, even though they're scapegoating and pointing blame in the wrong direction, but identifying, yes, there is a problem. And they're telling you who that problem is, which are trans people, gay people, people that are pro-choice, Black Lives Matter, everything, you know. And so again, speak truth to power of something is wrong, here are our options, and act on that.
You are so smart and so articulate. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Here at Gay Pride again with Sarah.
Hi.
Welcome. Thank you for coming with me and agreeing to do this with us. We've been out very present at the Takedown for the last month. We have some LGBT rights protests coming up at the end of April. What brings you out to Pride?
Well, I identify, but also a couple of my members of my team are in the LGBTQ community, as well as my son, in fact. And so as a result, I really felt like with everything going on in the world right now that we needed to show up, we needed to support, and we need to show that we're unified and that you don't have to be anything, like, you just be who you are and love who you love, and that's how the world should be. And that's really
Hopeful
how
messages.
Yeah.
How do our membership is 70 to 90-year-olds who are amazing people and who, for me at least, and probably for you, allowed me to have the rights that I have today. They were the original civil rights marchers. How do they engage with you? What's the most effective way?
Well, so we're massage therapists, so for us, just showing up and we're here to heal, so that, like, we just share our love with everybody that comes in. But you can contact us. My business is Serendipity Wellness, and my members that are here today, they work with me at events, and we're willing to come into businesses, schools, homes, whatever, but we're there for everybody, and that's part of our motto is we heal everybody. We don't care it's about you.
Did we miss the messaging with your generation last year?
What do you mean?
Did we mismanage the messaging process of the party?
A little bit, yes, for sure.
Did we disenfranchise your generation?
Oh, for sure. Yes.
I think you hear from a lot of your peers, not just here, but all over, that we fucked it up and we need to fix it now.
Yeah. Unfortunately, like the people that are in power are people that are of the older generation, and what they thought was right, as we've learned, is not. And so over time, we've been changing, but now all of a sudden we're reverting backwards, and I have no idea where that's coming from. I don't understand why people would want to go back in time, and the whole point of progress and moving forward, and we were heading in the direction where we need to be, but we're just...
What do you say to people who are fearful of losing our gay rights, our same-sex marriage, your right to reproductive freedom?
I think they should be afraid right now. But I think the best way to counteract that is to reach out to your representatives, is to fight for what you need. Because if you don't fight, who's going to, right?
And if your representative or your legislator, particularly here in Palm Beach County, is not receptive, then what?
That's what voting is for, and protests are for, right? If we don't vote, then how are we going to pick somebody who's going to back us up?
Melinda, the rain has stopped for the moment. Tell us a little bit, what brings you out to Gay Pride?
Well, I've been a queer activist since I was 14 years old.
2 years? Wow.
Yeah, just a couple of years. No, but I have actually been coming. I've been going to Pride all over the country. I am a stand-up comedian by trade. I've been a stand-up for about 15 years, so I've been to Pride all over the country. So I consider Pride one of the most important forms of activism we can do as a queer community.
Our group, which is comprised mostly of a much older demographic than both of us, but they are the original civil rights ones that gave us our freedoms that we have today. So, I guess my first question to you, since you've been across the country too, are we in a constitutional crisis?
Yes. Yeah, and you know what, this is the thing, is that as an activist that started in the 90s, like I saw the slow building of our rights and workplace protection, things like that. And this is a complete stripping of those things. So we're definitely in a constitutional crisis. Almost everything he's doing is unconstitutional, no matter what area you're talking about, but especially the queer rights. There was a federal injunction that just, indefinite federal injunction to help trans folks stay in the military and things like that. So everything is coming through the federal courts, and I feel like the federal judiciary is going to be the one that advocates all of this and makes it so a lot of these executive orders are futile.
I was just telling somebody here earlier, I'm an openly gay married man, and I have great fear at my age that they're going to take that away from me.
Yeah, exactly.
And I have, if they can take away Roe v. Wade in a day, they can take away same-sex marriage rights in 15 minutes.
I will tell you this though, North Dakota just recently rejected a proposal to be added to the
United States.
Yeah, so they're trying to overturn Obergefell, and so North Dakota was one of the original states in Obergefell, and so they've rejected the proposal to revisit Obergefell, and so that really quashes a lot of their power in overturning Obergefell. So I'm hoping that what happens is we have a lot of people that are disgusted by what's happening and become activists and really help us with protecting our rights. You know, the thing is, what I always think about is that in the 90s, when I first started activism, you know, it was straight folks that actually brought our rights to us, because obviously without straight people, we can't get enough of a majority, you know? I mean, maybe someday, but that's the thing, yeah. So if we have straight people and people that are normal, so to speak, that are really fighting for us, we can beat this stuff, and then it'll just be a really bad memory of the time that guy got into office and he was awesome.
That's an understatement.
Exactly.
So, as a queer activist, what's the message?
The message is hope.
That is one of the best things I've heard. I don't live with a lot of it. Maybe it's my generation.
Yeah.
but I think hope is profound.
Well, you know, if you think about it, Harvey Milk said you have to give them hope. And that's the thing. So we've been here before. We've been in worse situations, the 50s and 60s, the 1800s when they first started using homosexual. You know, so we've been through things that are as bad or worse than this. And so if we band together as a community, we can really help fight all of this.
Did our generation and those ahead of me foul up the messaging for you last year? Did we mismanage the messaging, mismanage the election, mismanage the process?
I don't think we even mismanaged the election. I feel like if Kamala would have come on earlier and Biden had decided not to run, then there would have been more of a overarching clarity on what the positions, the policy positions were. But the thing is that the Democratic Party will never succeed if you're trying to be everything to everyone. We have to really get our policy positions in a space where they are clear and concise and are matching, because that's really the thing, is that the Democrats feel like they're kind of like, oh, I don't know what we are now. You know what I mean? Because they're trying to get like centrist. They're trying to get centrist Republicans on our side, right? And I think that's actually happening. But I think that if our messaging was clear and concise, we have more of a chance of that happening. But yeah, so.
Hey there, I'm here with Jason, still at Gay Pride, still being drowned out by the drag show that's happening right now, but we'll try our best to talk over it. So our big question here today, and a great reason, part of the reason that we're here, is how do we as an older generation re-engage with your generation, with college-age students? How do we re-interest everybody in what's happening to our country?
I think people are engaged. I think they just don't know how to act, right? I think they don't know. I mean, you have a lot of anxiety and you're folks afraid to make phone calls, right? To schedule a dentist appointment, right? So it's a different, right? Because it's been trauma since they were children, right?
I know how to use a rotary phone.
No, and so do I. But I mean, you know, like Gen Z is marked by not remembering 9/11, but they remember 9/11 because in first grade through fifth grade, they had to watch it every single year, right? So they're first graders watching horrible things happen, right? And then the recession, all sorts of, you know, economic downturn. You know, when Obama was president, they thought they could arrest, and then all of a sudden not, right? So I think they are traumatized, but I think there needs to be a stronger push towards what we can do, like direct action. Like we stop doing direct action, and I think that might engage people to be there, right?
This drag show is going to be the death of me. So how do we pass that message along, specifically college-age students? We're willing to bring our base, 200-some people, to any event at any college.
Right.
These are the people who were doing civil rights protests, and the rights they have today are in great part due to what they did 60 years ago now. How do we make that connection?
I think because part of it is I think there's a turnoff, right, where people think because they post something or they share something, they're done with that thing, right? It's almost like we don't have enough anger, right? And we don't have enough engagement. So I think that's part of it, is letting them know what the next steps actually are, because I don't think that's actually been prescribed, right?
Some of that generation has said to me that we, my generation and those above me, fucked up the messaging last year, screwed up the election process, and that we're the ones that really need to fix it now before they get re-engaged. Do you sense that at all?
I think there's a mess up in the messaging, but I'm not blaming the generations, because I think it's like there's this push. I mean, Democrats anywhere else in the world are a right party, right? And so it's I'm gonna get in real trouble, aren't I? I definitely need to get everything cleared out. But so I think, and the messaging keeps going more and more right, more and more center, even for what's supposed to be the Progressive Party. You look at AOC and Sanders, and they are packing rallies, stadiums, right? Because they're doing the right messaging, and instead the Central Party keeps pushing towards the center, and we keep getting more, not even center, to the right, right? We get, I mean, love Harris, but she's a cop, right? And we put a cop up, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of soft pedaling the whole thing, and then you blame folks for not coming because they didn't have the interest, right? Nothing's provoking that drive with our care. We need somebody to be descriptive and charismatic and say, here's what I need folks to do.
So if I took an 82-year-old member, activist, protester, and paired them off with a 20-year-old, would they be able to communicate? Would they understand each other?
I think after a bit, yeah, and that would be ideal, right?
Yeah.
Get them paired up so people can learn how each other communicates, take each other to the next step, and show each other. Like there's a great video I love where it's two lawyers from the civil rights movement, and they keep saying, "Don't talk to, shut up, and they keep, they're doing a more profanity lace, but they're like, if this happens, shut up. If this happens, shut up, and like giving step-by-step guides. But that's really what worked. I mean, you look at civil rights, all of that was direct action.
Yes,
right?
it was.
Just doing your protest marches and doing anything. But you look at direct action where, folks took over TV stations, right? And so we had, so we're talking LGBTQ because we're at Pride, right? They were taking over the TV stations and attacking the TV stations, and that's how all of a sudden the messaging got a lot cooler in the 1970s and much more realistic and representative, and they'd have actual advisors and things like that, and then that stopped. And so like, I just saw a YouTube video recently where, there was a Murder, She Wrote episode in the late 80s that took place in a drag show. Everybody's straight in the whole episode because there wasn't that engagement anymore. There wasn't that pressure to present things realistically. So,
Unreal.
a direct action, right, gives you more realistic reasons.
Are you hopeful?
I'm hopeful, yeah. I'm always hopeful. I think things will change. I think we swing, right? But I think there's enough pressure and people are feeling it, right? I think there's generations get tired too, right?
The dissolution of the Department of Education, what's that going to do to our schools in Florida?
That's a tough one. So I always think public education is there to educate the public. There's a minimum standard that we want the public educated to. And I always have people who are like, well, my tax dollars pay for my child's education, I should pick and choose. And I'm like, well, my tax dollars pay for that too. We all get a say, right? We have certain standards we want met, certain critical thinking skills. But literally, someone I respected, had a professional relationship with today, she posted some crazy, made up facts about tariffs in Canada. And I said, no. Before the trade war, MFN, there was no tariff. I don't know where you're getting, right? But it's been shared.
There is a pipeline of mis and disinformation out there.
And nobody's stopping to say, well, maybe I should Google this. Right?
Google's an amazing thing.
Yeah.